tuned in to StarCHaser Central, a podcast about Charles Hamilton, music moments, and everything in between. I'm Sig Braxton.
And I am Mike D. Jackson.
What's up, man? We are back again for another week of Charles Hamilton music, man.
I'm good, man. I can't complain. I'll give you some leeway. So, it was a while ago. You talked about you were playing basketball like forever ago and you got sparked. And I was like, oh, yeah, you got sparked. And I kept bringing up spark jokes. When I went out Saturday night, um, early in the night. This is early, by the way,
Mm.
not like at the end of the night after drinking. No, this is early in the night. I went down some steps. I missed a step, and then like I rolled my foot, whatever, and then I was just like, but like I went on the rest of my night, and I was cool. Next day in the morning, I couldn't walk. I've been able to walk now, and like I've been putting ice on it and elevating it and all that, whatever. But I'm like, that's what I get. So I got sparked, and it didn't help that near halfway through the night, I went to go back down to go get a drink, and the DJ I know decided to play "Crank That Soldier Boy," and I ain't gonna lie, I was cranking that Soldier Boy. I was like, this is not gonna help my foot. This ain't helping my foot at all.
We're not young boys no more, man. We can't recoup like we used to.
I know, but like I said, that happened early in my night where I'm like, bro, like when I say like my first drink, it's not even like 10 o'clock yet. Oh shit, you're going home at 10? Fuck no. I'm like, let me with me, I think I didn't feel anything really because I was drinking at the point. So I'm like, you know
Yeah,
what? It's probably like I'm not worried about it. Now everything's wearing off. It's like, this sucks. I was like, yo, I'm driving straight home.
yeah. Ice, and what's the thing? It's called rice. Rest, ice, compression, elevation. I like rice to eat and rice to do this. It's important now, man. You gotta take care of ourselves, bro.
Of course. And that's what I've been doing or whatever. So like I said, I'm able to walk around and I'm straight. It's one of those things where I'm like, yeah, I'm just keep putting ice on it just to make sure, you know what I mean? So because I go back to work in the next like 2 days, but I'm good. I did have to call off yesterday. And I'm like, 'cause I was trying to get up and I was like, nope, it's not gonna work for 8 hours. That there's no way. So
Yeah, not with your line of work. There's no possible way, bro. But that's okay because now you don't have to do anything here except for sit and talk about Charles Hampton music, man. And today we are reviewing an early tape. Maybe I think we're thinking the second tape from Charles, and that's Sober Karaoke.
yes, sir. Sober karaoke. This tape actually has a little bit of controversy in itself that I kind of forgot about. So this project was released sometime in 2005. That's when Charles recorded it. But I don't even know if you can really say released. If you look it up online, they say it was released around like July of 2011, like mid late July, like 18th, 19th.
Mhm.
No, it actually got leaked earlier than that. It got leaked early July, like the 8th or something like that. Um, and here's where the controversy landed. So I'm not sure who, I don't know who started it and then who continued it, but someone whoever got it at some point decided to leak it and put it out there, and the Facebook group went wild. So many people were upset and pissed off, like, yo, why the fuck would you leak that? Did you get permission from Charles to leak it? Did he tell you to do it? And I'm thinking Charles might have been like, I don't know if he was in the hospital or if he was like in jail at this point, because 2011, we're talking about like when he had a
Mhm.
lot of stuff going on. So this is like he wasn't around at the time. But so many people, yo, take it down, don't put it back up. And then other people, oh, well, if this person leaked it, then I'm putting it out then I'm putting it out. Then it's like, man, it was a crazy time. But it was leaked or released later on, I guess. And I don't really know exactly if Charles would have been cool with it or not, because we know Charles has put out music for free for so long. So many people, they were like, oh, well, Charles would have been cool with this. Would he have not have? And we never really got that like full answer. It's kind of like, well, y'all already put it out, so it doesn't matter now. But yeah, 2011 time was when we re-got it. So if you weren't someone that was local that didn't hear it back in 2005, the rest of us heard it 2011 if you were around at that time.
Yeah, kind of. I'll take my perspective on that situation. I think it's shitty. I think you shouldn't make the assumption that he would have been cool with it. Don't know how you got it. Don't know. even if he gave it to you himself, unless he the words were verbatim, leak it during this time, then you shouldn't have leaked it at all. It's one of those situations. But Star Chasers are an interesting group, man. It's a very eclectic and varied group where people just have their own mind state. We'll put it that way. Um, but yeah, this is Charles's second album. This comes after From the Desk of, which is kind of, if you didn't know that, he will absolutely let you know that during this album, and we'll get into that some more. But do you remember your first time listening to this tape?
Oh yeah, definitely. Just because of so many people talking about it, and I remember just being like, okay, this is from 2005, early Charles, early, and you got to remember, even in that 2011 era, like if we're not counting the 2005 stuff, you're just going from 2008 to 2011. It's like, all right, so there's only so much music you've heard from Charles that he's
Mhm.
put out at that time period. But I definitely remember hearing it. I was just like, I don't remember really going back to it too much, but I remember being like, "Oh, this is cool. I like this." It's early Charles where you can hear that he definitely had still some work to do, but it was good. I can say that. Like that's how I felt about it back then. Do you remember your first time listening?
Yeah. Again, 2011's that on and off period that I think a lot of people, at least include myself, kind of waned in and out of listening to Charles music. So when I heard this and it was like, oh, this is Charles' second album, or like this is one of Charles' earlier works, I was like, okay, let me hop back in and see what he was doing here. Um, it's one of those things where like I think about it now as doing this review. I'm more concerned about the kind of reflecting on how his growth was as far as an artist was. But back then it was just like, okay, cool. This sounds like more of what I'm looking for versus what maybe we had been getting at that time. So I know for a fact I was like, okay, this is cool. I like what I'm hearing here. Um, and I don't know if I liked it because it was great or it was a good tape, or if it was one of those things where like I'm just glad I'm getting something that's more palatable than what I was listening to at the time.
I'm actually glad you said that because that segues perfectly into, one of my favorite segments we do on here. What did the Star Chasers say? So I'm gonna start off with this one in particular. Someone brought up this was like in August of 2011. They said 7 projects later in 2011, I think at least. So at this point, Charles had January Rush, The Power of Illumination, Sober Karaoke, The Up, NHF, your favorite,
Don't do that.
Charles Hamilton's Attempted Swagger, which is one of my favorites, and
Yep.
then where's Charles Hamilton Process. So there could have been some we missed, but with some of these, we really liked, and then some other ones it's like,
That's a that's actually a decent run if we're really talking about something. That's a decent run.
yeah. And like I said, it's one of those things where I'm like, I keep forgetting that Swagger came out in 2011, and then we talked about the Up, we talked about NHF, um, and some of these other ones. I'm like, oh wow, So, but you know what it is because Charles didn't release so much stuff in 2011 compared to all the other years. So it's like
Mhm.
kept comparing 2011 to other years, kind of like a dry spell, like a dry year for him. You know what I mean?
Sure,
Um,
yeah.
but with other things people said, I'll be honest, I couldn't even find a negative like post about not saying I wanted to, but I couldn't even find a negative post about sober
Yeah.
karaoke. Uh this one though, fuck whoever leaked sober karaoke. Because like I told you, so many people were mad about that. Someone else said, I listened to sober karaoke and I must say, just in my opinion, I liked it. The beats were young, but still dope. I see why now he considers himself a veteran in the game. Then some other ones, basically someone saying, um, I feel bad for downloading it, or should I download it? Should I just wait for Charles to put it out? Um, here's where it gets a little interesting. Someone says Sober Karaoke goes fucking ham. Um, these two from two different people. Someone said Sober Karaoke is better than the Pink Lava Land. And then
Hold on. Let that sizzle. Let that sizzle
okay.
marinate for just a hot second, please.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna say that one more time and I'm gonna let it sizzle
There
for
we
you.
go. Yeah, please.
All right. Sober Karaoke is better than the Pink Lava Lamp.
Okay. I just wanted to get that off. I'm sorry.
That's a bold statement. And then someone did a top three. They said number one was Pink Lava Lamp, two Crash Landed, three Sober Karaoke. So even just saying that's in the top three, but remember it's 2011. It's 2011 though. We gotta remember it's 2011. I know. But but saying it's top three though, top three, and sometimes even better than. So I'm like, wow, like literally everything. Someone's like, "Yo, it's fire, it's great, it's awesome, I love it." Some people, I think the most nitpicky thing is, oh, you could tell that it's older music, but it's
Yeah.
still good though. Not one person I've seen said that it was always bad. And if someone might have said they didn't like it as much, it's probably because time has passed and they've been like, "Oh, it's new, it's older music now." So
That is interesting. You made a good point about just not being able to find anything negative about it. Like you said, you weren't trying to find it, but I think with a lot of Charles tapes, I think you kind of just stumble upon it. You know what I'm saying? Plus, during this time period, again, we know how the StarChasers were at the time. They weren't like the greatest at articulating why they don't like something. And so instead of being given reasons, it's usually just it was just trash, right? So you can accidentally stumble upon those all the time. So to hear that there wasn't you couldn't find anything like that, I think that's good. I think that's a good sign. Again, I'm not sure if it was because of the tape itself or it's one of the things where people were excited to finally get something where it's like, okay, there's nothing here that's just inherently bad. You know what I'm saying? In their opinion or in their minds or whatever. Sober Karaoke is a 14 song album. Um, let's talk about the cover. Yeah, Sonic has seen better days, apparently.
yeah, he has. And I always thought it was creative because I'm like, okay, Sonic, drunk, down on his luck, out in the street, whatnot. Obviously, Charles, doing the whole Sonic the Hamilton or Sonic the Hedgehog motif, always calling himself Sonic. I'm like, okay, well, it makes sense. And then it's just like, honestly, sober karaoke, like 9 times out of 10, no one's doing sober karaoke. Like the only time someone's doing that sober is like you have to be someone that actually sings and you really love singing. Other
Yeah.
than that, you're like everybody else. You're doing it while you've had some drinks and some shots. So, but
Mhm.
I like the art cover. It's definitely memorable. Like if you show me that picture, I'm like, oh, sober karaoke instantly. How about you? What's your thoughts on it?
Very unique, very unique. Thank God that at this time, Sonic wasn't under the thumb of Nintendo, because Nintendo does not play about their properties, and they probably would have struck this down immediately. Uh, um, but it's unique, man. Just like you said, sober karaoke, and I was gonna save that for later, but sober karaoke is probably like the worst thing, right? Because I don't know, like I say, unless you just like singing, or you're like straight edge, or like you just don't drink or whatever. You would sober karaoke sound like the biggest fear ever, like because like you can't block out the fear or the nerves that you would have singing in front of a bunch of people in like a crowded area. Whereas, drunk karaoke is amazing because I don't do karaoke at all. But I would assume that drunk karaoke would just be, it's just fun. Like it's just a fun adventure versus sober karaoke, which it's kind of nerve-wracking. So the cover definitely fulfills what he's going for. And like I said, Sonic's seen better days, man. But yeah, I like what he did with this.
Yeah, same here. Same here.
Let's not waste any time, man. Let's just get right into it. The first song is aptly titled. I'm doing terrible because this thing is taking forever to come up.
I got you. It's
Thank you, sir.
hi. What is sober karaoke?
A great question.
So I'll say this. I think it's a pretty good intro. It's the beat's unique for its time, like because I'm thinking about it, I'm like, okay, 2005. What would I listen to or what would I hear in 2005? And this would not be it. I mean, not in a negative way. Like I said, that's why I'm saying it's unique. I'm like, wow, like I wouldn't expect that. I think Charles did a great job introducing himself, his life, his music, and what to expect from this project. It's one of those things where like, he kind of like says, hey, this is who I am, and this is what you're probably going to get on this project. So, come along for the ride. So I think it's a pretty good intro. He does basically, and it kind of explains himself. So I'm like, yeah, it's cool. I like it.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's for an intro, it's pretty decent. I just want to harken to literally the first two bars, because it kind of tells a story like I was saying about the first album and kind of what Charles's career has been even up to today. You probably listened to my first joint, like What's Wrong with Me. I already told you I make songs for me. And so let's just talk about the first part. The first part is, the first album, I think people were kind of like they could see the talent. And I think even when we discussed from the desk of, we were like, the talent's there. It just felt like he was still discovering who he is as an artist. And so it was just kind of navigating, what does he want to be? What's his style? What is he trying to accomplish or whatever. Um, it's that second line that's very important. Uh, I make songs for me, and I heard that, and I heard it. I was listening to it this weekend, just drinking or whatever in a man cave. Listen, I said, let me just rewind that back because that's the boy don't lie, man. I mean, well, the boy don't lie here, man. Like he don't lie here in this situation. He does. That is his. You could say it's either a a not a it's a positive quality or it's a glaring flaw. You know what I'm saying? Depending on how you look at it and how you view it. You should always try to make the art as an artist. You should always try to make the song that you want to make or the art that you want to make, and you can attest to this as well. You know what I'm saying? So with the stuff that you make, because like I think people would say like not inconsistent, but you take your time with releasing stuff or coming up with songs. But you only come up with songs when you feel like you're inspired to, right? I've noticed that about you. Me, I only write when I'm like, all right, cool. I feel like writing today, or if I want to release something, I'll release it, or whatever. Same thing with Charles, like, but the thing with Charles is that he always is in that mood. He's always in the inspiration. And so what comes with that could be the glaring flaw is that he only makes songs for himself. So it's like the stacking of songs and the stacking of tapes, where it's like you have so many a backlog of stuff, and it's like, who is this for? Like, especially if you don't tell people, or if you release it like later down the line, it's like, who is this for? Is it for you or is it for the consumer and your StarCHaser or whatever? So I just thought that was just an interesting couple lines. Good song, very good intro. Like I said, sets the table for the tape, I would say.
I do want to say a few things about you bringing up that line because I was going to bring it up myself, but I was like, I'll let it go. You are right. Also, I do think two things can be true at once, where that's him telling the truth, and also at the same time it could be that glaring flaw where we've heard him say that a lot through multiple songs, albums, just in talking. Charles is saying, I make this music for myself. Primarily the music for him. It's kind of like by us being bystanders and fans, it's like, oh, you kind of get a piece of this, but it's really just because if you're around, you get to enjoy it, you know what I mean? But it's mainly for him. Um, Also, just another thing I wanted to bring up because near the end of the song where he decides to say, "Hey, by the way, in case you're wondering what sober karaoke is, he defines it. It means to constantly bare your soul," which I'm like, okay, which which makes a lot of sense versus when Charles has like a interesting name for a project, it's like, okay, well, it's an interesting name. What is the definition? When you hear
Mhm.
that sober karaoke, you being sober, because we could always talk about when you're drunk, you have these thoughts and they just get blurted out whenever. But when you are sober and you actually are, I guess, singing or whatever you want to say, you are constantly bearing your soul and letting people know the truth. And Charles is attempting to do that here. So I'm like, great. Versus other projects we've heard where it's like, oh, what's the name of this? And then we go on the tangent of
Mhm.
tangents. So, but yeah.
Yeah, like I said, it's just fun to actually kind of have a an established reason for the title and kind of an explanation for it. I think that's something that is missed in like later tapes. We followed it up with Pretty in Pink. I feel like I don't have to talk about this song a lot. This is one of my favorite songs of all time by Charles. That sample flip of Pink Panther. He's getting his shit off. He's really it's still kind of that 2005 vibe as far as you would hear this by somebody else. I'm trying to figure out who I would hear it from. Um, Cam would be the easiest thing, but I'm thinking more of like just a dip set type of situation or whatever. But Charles is rapping his ass off here. Really good fun hook that's easy to do like a callback if you wanted to do that. I remember for the longest time we only had the live version. It was a live version that he had. I forget what tape, what random like bonus or unreleased tape had it. And I was like, damn, I love this song, but I wish that it was in like a studio type of jump. So when this finally came out and I saw it on here, it was like the best thing that happened to me that day or that time period, man. So love Pretty in Pink, very good record. It's still my favorite song on the tape, but very good.
I mean, I figured that, so I was like, yeah, I'm gonna let you, you get your shine off on that one. I agree. I could see that, like, if I was to see like Cameron Dipset rapping on this, um, I could also see like if someone in Demevolis, someone like Nate, I could see Nate being on this as well, even though he doesn't do like the pink thing or whatever. But it's just one of those things where I'm like, I think I could have seen like if like Charles would do like a remix or something like that and have Nate on it, it could have been just as good. Like you said, dope Pink Panther flip, slick and slide, fly flow that Charles is doing, whatever. Like you normally don't get that from him because he's being real braggadocious on this song versus
Mhm.
sometimes where he's like a little subtle with his fly talk, but he's just out there be like, nah, I'm strutting on this beat. So yeah, good song.
Yeah, for sure. Next up we have Anger Management.
So when I first heard this, I think I was a little iffy on it, but then like I was like, oh, he flipped Beat It, from Michael Jackson. So I'm like,
Mhm.
okay. The one thing I do like about it is that it's a creative flip where it's not like a lazy one that you hear nowadays where it's like, oh well, yeah, I see where he flipped it. And then he changed it up, made it completely different where you can hear that it's Beat It if you know your music, but it's like, okay, well,
Mhm.
this doesn't make me think about that song. Doesn't make me think about like Michael's, original song or anything like that. I really like the hook change up that he did. So, because the song's called Anger Management. So, like, each time the hook comes back in, he's a little bit more angry and
Mhm.
aggressive and showing, this is his anger management. This is, so I'm like, okay, yeah, I see what he's doing there. Um, the flow and the bars are good. I know in the beginning he did like a little bit of like the fast time, Chicago flow, whatever you want to call it, which was cool. But then he slowed it
Mhm.
back down. I'm glad that he like just only tried to showcase it a little bit, not try to do like a whole speedy flow the whole time. I'm like, it doesn't need that, whatever. But it's a good song. Good.
Yeah. Um, it took me a while to kind of warm up to this song. I listened to it a few times, and I was like, you know what? As when I got to the final couple listens, I was like, you know what? I'm a fan of this song. It's pretty decent. Um, I'm with you as far as like the different levels of the hook and like how he's singing it. Nitpicky me, artist me, right? When I think of anger management, I think of you come in with anger and you're supposed to be managing how much you let it loose, right? So if it was me, I probably would have flipped it and had that high anger at the beginning, and at the ending would have had to like the more subdued, like the first verse was. That's just a nitpicky thing, but I like to say I like how it kind of changed within the song. Um, the fast paced rap. I think I've seen a couple of different reviews that said it, but even when I was listening to it, similar to from the desk of, you can hear the Eminem influence throughout this tape. So you could hear it a lot. That fast flow kind of is like a subtle reminder of that as well. But like you said, I'm glad he didn't make that the whole flow for the whole song because it didn't need it and probably would have thrown it off. Um, Charles was really in love with that fast flow early in his career. But again, I think he was just so in love with like Eminem's music and hearing him do it uh certain times or whatever. But this record is cool. I like this record. The next song we have, I believe, is the Project Stairwell.
Yeah. This is storytelling CH. First I would say the first song we actually get that's more storytelling, and then we get some other ones down the line.
Mhm.
Um, First verse, Charles, kind of plays tour guide, and I noticed this recently going back to listen to this, and then going back to listen to other episodes we've done. I'm like, yeah, Charles has taken that approach a bunch of times where in some of the verses, or maybe the first verse, it's like, hey, this is where we're at right now, and I'm going to take you around this area of New York or wherever I'm at, and kind of show you and tell you like how things are and how it is. He's basically saying, how dangerous the projects are. Also, he said he lived in 4 of the 5 boroughs, and like they're all different, but they're all the same. They're all similar in some aspect.
Mhm.
Like in the second verse, talks about there's a young man that got shot, being too tough, had a gun on him and whatnot, and then how street violence goes, unfortunately. And then the third verse, another guy who ended up catching HIV, decided, oh, I'm a, entertain this girl, gets set up, gets backdoored, whatever, pause. Um, and then ends up dying. And then it's crazy because like in each verse he keeps talking about the stairwell, about, hey, someone's end up dying like behind the stairwell, under the stairwell, whatever. And it's like
Hmm.
it's crazy. And then not only that, how he ends the song, he's like, the end, I guess. And it's not even like, oh, he's being funny. It's like, yeah, because like it's not supposed to be a happy story. It's not supposed to be a happy ending. It's like this stuff keeps happening. And he's like, well, and then again, like, is it really the end? Maybe it never ends because this keeps happening. Violence begets more violence. So it's just like, man, like you always say, hey, this has to stop. But we're in 2025, and unfortunately, like I won't say it's gotten any better, but it hasn't gotten any worse either. It's like it's still unfortunate, but that's real. That's just how that type of stuff is. So uh good song, real song. I like the storytelling.
Yeah, storytelling becomes a very prevalent part of this album. I think more so than the first album they had from the desk of. It's a this is one of those ones where like there's nothing bad about the song. Actually, it's a very good song. It's just great storytelling. He's letting you with his words, he's giving you imagery throughout it so you can kind of vividly see what's happening. Um, it's just one of those songs where I don't know how often I would want to listen to this, if that makes sense, because I think it's too heavy, and I think it's like you have to be in like a certain type of mood to listen to it, or you're listening to the album in full, right? I think those are the only two type of scenarios where you would listen to the song, right? So from a review standpoint, it's a really good song. It's a really good storytelling song. I just don't know how often I'm running back to it. I think that's where I'm at with it.
Understandable. We talked about that for a couple of songs before. Like I want to say it was on it's I think on it's Charles Hamilton. It was Hellboys, I think.
Hmm.
It's one of those things where like me listening to the song, like it's not a bad song and the storytelling and all that, but I'm like, yeah, this is too gruesome for me. Where I'm like, this song isn't it has, the violence in there or whatever. And then the clever line I did like that I had to mention was that he said, I think it was on the third verse where he said the homie got like shot in two places and one was a snowman tee. Let's get it. It's like if can't ban the snowman, just a Jeezy
Yeah,
shirt. Let's get it with his catch line. Get it. But
yeah,
if
yeah.
if you don't know, you don't know. So it's like, the clever bar wordplay and all that. But yeah, for me, I'm like, yeah, you're talking about like, violence, but like it wasn't as gruesome as like something like Hellboy. So I'm like, yeah, it's definitely not something that I can see everyone going back to, but I understand both standpoints.
I'm not saying this, but the next track is called "I Hate You, Charles Hamilton."
um, I've never had to say that before, and I don't think I ever will. I said that Charles has a honesty hour moment, and then he tells about all the bad things he's done in his past, whether it's random people or classmates. Pretty juvenile stuff, but still harsh. Because I think in one of the parts, I think the second verse, he said that I don't know if he said like aerosol or Lysol or something like that. He sprayed it around some girl, and then like she had like a bad reaction to it. And I'm like, bro, that's definitely fucked up, you know. Um, Another storytelling song because Charles just kind of says, oh, when I was in this or I was getting beat up, I did this to get back at my bullies. I made them fail the state exam. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. And then he kind of wraps it up in a big bow because, like, with the women that he's like maybe have upset and hurt, he says, if I was y'all, I wouldn't date myself, and you don't have to tell me you hate me. I already hate myself. So it's like, yeah, I hate me too, unfortunately. But it's
Mhm.
not like a ha ha. It's like, yeah, no, I actually hate myself. It sucks. Um, I gotta bring this up. I don't know if you've ever heard this. Hopefully someone knows what I'm talking about because the one part he talked about his neighbor or something like that kicked his dog. And for some reason, the only thing I could think of was like this prank call that I used to hear all the time where like some dude called this dude like, hey, you kicked my dog. You kicked my fuck you, buddy. You kicked my dog. And I'm like, I don't know if he's referencing that or not. Probably not, but it reminded me of like an old prank call. I'm gonna send it to you if I can find it on YouTube, but I hope so. But if he's referencing that, like great reference that most people wouldn't know. That's like a millennial, like only a few people know. But this is an okay song. Like I said, storytelling and like I said, just for me, I don't know how often I would go back to this one. Not because of it's too gruesome or anything like that. It's just like like It's just not necessarily my cup of tea, but it's not a bad song.
Yeah, I think back in the day I would be more receptive to this. I think now it sounds kind of juvenile, right? And I understand that where he's at in this like 2005, that means he would be what age?
He's 2 years older than us, so he'd be 19.
So you know what I'm saying? So I get it. Like everybody's kind of like juvenile at even when we turn 18. Like we're adults,
Actually,
but
sorry,
like
sorry. He'd be 18 because if 2005, we'd be 16, so he'd be 18. My bad.
so it's like, you know, even and when we turn 18, like we're adults, but like we're still like kids, basically. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I get it. It's just kind of hard to listen to it now. It's like, but again, it's very Eminem coded, right? Where it's like Eminem would say some shit like sprayed the Lysol can and made her have a panic. You know what I'm saying? He would do some shit like that, and I can hear it. And I can sense what he was going for. Um, yeah, I thought when I heard the song, I was like, oh, this is about to be the all the women hate Charles Hamilton record. That's what I thought it was gonna be, just full of that. So we got only but so much of that. Um, Plus it was early on in Charles's life, so he still had a few more girls to go before he could make the L word, and that's where they really had their issues. But it's as a young person, probably when in 2011, I would probably like this is cool. Today, it's like, I'm over it. I think.
Yeah. I gotta say this real quick because you just reminded me. This happened last week while I was at work because you said the L word, and I can't remember the name of that song, but you know the one that I said that I kind of like the least. It's the "Be with an older woman, be with an older
Oh,
woman."
that's Theories of Wine.
Yeah, like the actual song came on the someone's car. I was driving it in, and like I was like, oh, this song tonight. I don't wanna be with an older woman, be with an older. I'm like, no one knows what the fuck I'm talking about. It's an inside joke. I was like, be with an older woman, be with. I'm like, damn, no one knows. I'm like, never mind.
But you could know if you go to Spotify, go listen to the L word, man. It's still out there, so go listen to that. I don't know why I'm telling them. People who watch this already know Charles Hampton, but if you randomly come across it, Charles Hampton music on Spotify. Tell Last Summer is the next track.
Oh, listen, when I first, played this back so we could get our reviews in,
Mhm.
I don't know what it was, but I just like eyes and ears perked up. I'm like, what
Yeah.
is this? Because I just couldn't remember. I'm like, this is on here. I'm like, what is this? Listen to it, and I think this is the first time where I was like, nah, I'm playing it again. I usually try to when I do my reviews, at least especially the first time re-listening to something, I've tried to play everything once. Like number one, I'll play everything once through, regardless if I like it or not. But I try not to do any repeats. I'm like, no, don't like listen to the whole thing once because then I don't want to get a bias. You know what I mean? But I was like, nah, I gotta play this back. I'm like, man, this song just feels like a throwback. Now, of course, it came out in 2005. When we heard it again in 2011, now we're listening to it 20 years later from 2005. But I'm like, I feel like any year you could have listened to this. It just feels like the whole last summer. Like it just encapsulates it so well. I love it. I'm gonna say it right now. Favorite song from the tape, like bar none. Favorite song from the tape. Um, I wouldn't be mad if this song ended the tape. Like I kept listening to it. I'm like, it kind of feels like it could end the tape, just like it could be one of them songs like, oh, hey, just ride out in the sunset, that type of feel. To me, everything's perfect. Beat, flow, vibe. And then this is one of them songs where we talked about it before, where Charles would keep ending his verse like, oh, yeah, when I did this last summer, and then just play the sample out, whatever. No hook, no actual singing, no rap, nothing. Just perfect. So yeah.
New Year's Eve 2005, I decided that I would write the illest shit I've ever written in my life. It would be an open letter to these hoes and fellas, overzealous at times, but overall my own vendetta was set. See, my problem is I hardly keep it guarded, cause Charles is open-hearted, smart with most, but emotionally lethargic and retarded. The more I got in the booth and sat down and jot down the truth, I never felt shot down or stupid. Some hated, but the others spread love when I put out from the desk of last summer.
I'm glad we had the same reaction. Coming off of, I hate you, Charles Hampton. I was like, okay. I was like, all right, this is cool. That beat came in. I was like, wait, this is my vibe. I got excited. I was like, okay, but can you deliver? Like, what are you about to do on this? Because like, if it's some bullshit, I'm gonna be really upset. Nah, he came through with this one. It like you say, it's everything married up perfectly. The flow, the verses, what he's talking about in the verses, you know, the perfect choice of just going with the sample as the hook. Um, yeah, this is, and it's kind of just kind of going back to, still kind of harkening back to that first album, but kind of see where I am today from that last point or whatever. It just shows like a maturity and just kind of like a map from that point to this point and where he is today. Um, when I say Pretty in Pink is still my favorite song, the reason I paused because I heard this and I was like, it's razor thin when I say that Pretty in Pink is there, because this is right next to it. I said I do have it as my surprise pick of the tape because I was not anticipating. I knew the songs that I knew I would like on here, but I was not anticipating remembering that this is on here. This is a really, really, really good record. Um, Phenomenal.
Yeah, we had a couple people that have, asked about sober karaoke within the last couple episodes, like, oh, will you guys review this, and I'm glad that we came back to this because you know how I felt about going back to '07. I'm like, oh man, we keep going back to '07, man. But I'm like, you know what, it is very important to like go back and listen to like the earlier stuff and then, kind of compare it to then and now, and just so it is always imperative to do that. So
Um, a song that does get brought up a lot, especially from this tape. I'd probably say the most talked about song on this tape, maybe. On some G shit.
I murder a rhyme, one word at a time. You never heard of a mind that's perverted as mine. You better return with a 9 and stir up a crime. I'm clever, burn you with lines. I'm the third of a kind. First Pac, then M, then my turn in the line. I'm a young version of a Howard Stern in his prime. Say some deep shit, then let it stir in your mind. On some G shit, can't nobody take my spot. I'm the deepest, that's why I can't wait to drop. For any reason, if you think I ain't that hot.
I can see why, because I forgot this is on here. This is what I'm gonna just say. This is Charles' spin bars, no hook, punchlines, just punchlines, like multiple punchlines. The beat has like a laid back West Coast feel to it. When I kept listening to it, I'm like, you know what? I could see this like if Charles was like, if he was famous at that point, whatever. Like this reminds me of like BET Rap City, like the basement, like going down in the basement and doing a freestyle. Like, Big Tigger like sets up the artist, whatever, and then like he had this beat playing in the background, and I could see Charles going for like 5 minutes just rapping, going on and on and on or whatever. And there's a lot of quotables, in here. Obviously I'm not gonna read all of them, but I needed to read some of them because, like I said, I'm not going to beat a dead horse. I know we were talking about it for the last couple episodes, but we talked about this where Charles was like, I know what you guys mean by like, some of the bars or some of the stuff I say on songs. I could do this. I could still do this. Respectfully, I'll catch flack for this. I'm gonna say it. No, you can't. I don't think you can. I don't think you can. Respectfully, I don't think you can, because otherwise you just do it, and you don't. Because all we're talking about is like similes, metaphors, and we're doing the blah blah blah, like blah blah blah. But no, some of these that he had in here was crazy. Hold up, I gotta find this one. Something simple. You carrying dead weight like you lifting coffins. Get it? Dead weight, lifting coffins. See, it's easy. You know what I mean? This one, he said, if you think you're slick in the boots and step up, because I'll break you down to your roots like Questlove. Get it? Then Black Thought, no time for back talk. I'll crack your glass jaw, leave you on the asphalt. That's Charles. Grab Paul, stack tall, blast off. Catch you, cats talking, use a flame like Survivor cast-offs. If y'all watch Survivor, come on, man. Like, and I'm not gonna read all of them, but it's stuff like that where I'm like, bro, like, if you think about it now in some of the newer music, I don't really remember him setting up a punchline and being like, oh, this and this, like this and that.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I'm like, and that's okay if you can't do it anymore. I would still respect the music because you're doing the A to B flow, and I'm like, and you can't really like A to B flow and punchline your way as well. You're either doing one or the other. But I don't think you can do it anymore. Which there's nothing wrong with that, respectfully. Not like, oh, you ain't got what it takes anymore. I can sit there, you think about the old days with your Firebird and your Thunderbird. You ain't got what it takes anymore. Like not like the Austin 316 promo, but I'm like, but Charles is just like hip hop quotables like 101. You know what I mean? So really dope song. I can see why people talk about it a lot.
Yeah, just want to talk about the song real quick. The song is it's like I say, it's bar to bar to bar to bar to bar. It's a bar fest. All type of bars. He's it's a great record. It's the beat is like an East Coast guy doing a DJ Quick impression, if that makes sense. Where it's very West Coast inspired, but like an East Coast dude did it, so you can kind of hear it in that sense. It's not quite West Coast funk vibe, but it's the East Coast version of it, which I think works perfectly with that. I think even that old high pitch, like that's what I'm saying, on a in the hands of someone else could be very annoying. But I think what he did with it was perfect, and it didn't like overstay its welcome, kind of make it harsh to hear. Like I said, there's quotables for this for days. I think I know people that can recite this entire thing with no help, no genius. They just know about heart or whatever. So it's a really good record. It's one like I said, the most popular record probably on this tape. Um, I want to go into the quotable thing. Uh, I think about sometimes about Charles again just being too ahead of his time in that if social media existed the way it does now, I'm talking like Instagram, TikTok, caption rap, right?
Yeah,
Charles would have been kind of fire in that sense. Like, because that early, the quotables that we're talking about would have been a lot of people's captions. Some people wouldn't have deserved those captions, but they would have had those captions would have been on a lot of people's thing because he just has a lot of fly shit that he says in a lot of different ways, and he has it for like different genres, different modes. You can have some love bars, some braggadocious bars, some cocky bars, I'm depressed bars. He's a Swiss Army knife. He's like a video game character that can hold seven different weapons, even though you can clearly see he shouldn't be able to hold all of them, but he just has them. You know what I'm saying? That's what it felt like. So it's like he just again he just was too early. So when we talk about the quotable stuff, like you say, it's not that we're like you're not a good rapper anymore. No, you're still able to rap. Like no one can freestyle like you. Like that's like a gift that you have. It's the content, the form that you're doing. It's not no more much quotable as more as what you can say while you're rapping. And so I think that's kind of the difference that we get from back in the day to the current form of Charles Sampson. But yeah, on to some G shit is just an amazing record.
one more. So underlay, and if shit gets too reckless, I'll pop up on your window like an instant message. Come on, man. Come on.
Just yeah, it's just it's fire, man.
Oh, wait. Oh,
Um,
sorry. Last one. I
so
promise. Last one.
go ahead,
Last one.
go
I
on. Give me,
promise. I
come on.
promise.
Just there's so many.
I, I got you. Shit. 40 cal used the Miyagi line, so I'll stick to screaming on niggas like Bobby Knight. Like Bobby Knight.
If
I
you know
know
who the Bobby Knight is, I can't.
I know people wouldn't get it, but I'm like, bro, if you knew who Bobby, yes.
Yeah,
Which is kind of a racial bar. That's kind of like the when he does the like Kramer, I hate you niggas. That's basically that's like the equivalent of him doing that, but
it's the lowest version of the bars, but that's okay. It's I understand it, and it's still like I got it. You know what I'm saying? It's still that light bulb moment. Rebecca's Addiction is next.
feel free. Let me know what you think about this first.
I wasn't a fan. It's another storytelling element, and I see what he's going for with it. I just I wasn't engaged. I wasn't engaged to the content. I wasn't like I want to know more about what you're talking about. It just felt like, and it's weird because I saw a review. I'm not gonna say who the review was from, or I can't remember who it was from, but like they liked the tape, they liked the album, but they had mentioned that a lot of the subject of the tape was about Charles's favorite subject, which they put parentheses himself, and it kind of got into like how they use the word narcissistic, and maybe depending on how you look at the definition, whatever I think the easiest the easy subject to talk about as an art form is yourself because who knows you more than anybody else. But they were like, yo, he ventures out and kind of tells other people's stories, and he does do well with other people's stories at times. I just don't think this was the best version of that. Like when I think of, and it's not about another person, but like Heroin Girl, right? That's would technically be about someone else, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? I know it's a metaphor as well. It's like a double entendre, but it feels more engaging. I guess with the beat as well kind of helps. This is too much is fighting against it, and I just wasn't a fan.
Okay, I understand that. If I remember on the first track, hi, what is sober karaoke? He does reference, Rebecca, in that song, whatever. Then we get to Rebecca's edition. I like the beat on here, and then, like I said, it's just another storytelling song. Um, and my thing is this: I didn't know if this was like, I'm assuming it's a real person, but at the same time, I get what you're saying, why you weren't as connected with it. But basically, the gist of it is, Rebecca, some white girl that gets caught up with drugs. The further the song goes, the more drugs she gets into, and then starts having sex for the drugs. You know what I mean? Basically becomes
Hmm.
a junkie and all that, and then ends up dying, overdosing. And then the crazy thing is, with near the end, like when the song's like kind of like going out, the beat changes up and it gets a little spooky and eerie, already more spooky and eerie than it already was.
Hmm.
Because then he's like, oh, then she started doing crystal meth, then she started doing this and that, whatever. And then, with all the stuff she was doing, the thing that really killed her was marijuana, was weed. You know what I mean? That was like the last thing that she did that ended up killing her.
Yeah.
I think the reason why maybe this song might not connect with people is because how Charles words it and phrases it is that, oh, I know this girl named Rebecca, and we were pretty chill, but we kind of drifted apart, and I kind of felt bad. I should have been around her, but we kind of fell out for whatever reason, and then she started doing all this crazy shit. So by that point, he's telling the story from like a super outsider's perspective, where it's like I'm just watching her basically slowly kill herself, and I'm not really in contact with her. And I think how the song really goes, it makes it seem like, they were like kind of like friends in passing or associates, good associates, but they weren't really like really close. So Charles can only tell the story as best as he can from that associate standpoint. So maybe that's why I didn't really connect with certain people. I like the song, is good. Not one of my favorites, but like it's definitely that whole cautionary tale. And I think obviously this is early work from Charles. So of course, like you have to work on, you can't get better at telling other people's stories until you actually start doing it. You know what I mean? So this could be a dud for certain people, or some people can say, oh, this isn't really what I was expecting. But it's like you got to start somewhere. You know what I mean? So like, hey, let me start with Rebecca's Addiction. Then further on in my career, I'll make more Rebecca's Addiction songs, and then I'll get better at it. So, but for like obviously, I like it for what it is. I think that he did a good job with it.
Friendship Bracelet is up next.
Okay, so me listening to this one, I think this would be the song that I couldn't really like connect with. Not that I couldn't connect with, it was like the song where I think I would probably play the least.
Okay.
He had the time after time sample, which is cool. I had no problem with that. The beat was cool with this one. He's like, hey, and this is technically another storytelling song too.
Mhm.
Because it's like, hey, this is a song for my best female friend, not someone that you have your eye on like sexually, but someone that you keep your eye on like just respectfully and all that. Then I think he said it was Makita that at the end of the song he says who it is. But and it's funny because it starts off like, oh man, I thought she was cute and she had a fat ass and I wanted to fuck her, but then basically it's like, yeah, I wanted to fuck you, but I got curved. I'm kind of glad I got curved because I found out that you actually have a personality and I kind of like you. So when you go back to the narcissistic thing, whatever, it kind of like, but he didn't even word it like that. It's just one of the things where like now that we're older, because when you're like 17, 18, you say certain things, you're like, man, I worded that like terribly,
Yeah.
but you don't know any better back then.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where at the end of the day, like it's like hey, we became so close, and I'm glad that you're in my life. Thank you, and I hope I get to talk to you later today. So it's like a cute song, but at the same time, you can only make the song when you're like 17, 18. Like
Hmm.
you can't be in your 30s. Like, yeah, this is for my best female friend, unless this is your like wife or significant other that you're going to be marrying soon. Like, oh no, we're just friends. I just want to make a song about you. It's like All right. It's not going to look good. I think it's the equivalent of when people make fun of J. Cole for that one song, oh, let me tell y'all about the first time I lost my virginity. It's like, bro, why the fuck are you talking about this? You're too old to be talking about this. It's like that. It's like that equivalent. Charles made the song at the right time because it's the only time you could make a song like this. Otherwise, it's like, yeah, this is fucking weird. Why are you doing that? So
Yeah, it's got an oddly charming element to the song that makes me kind of like it. I won't say I love it. I won't say like it's like earth shattering, but I listened to it a few times. I was like, this isn't bad. I can see it's. You know what? It was a very good change of pace because he either is hating somebody or he loves some is in love with somebody. So this is kind of like a healthy balance. Like, oh, okay, so you do have like you can make a song about just friendship. Now, obviously, again, he wanted to fuck and it just didn't turn out that way. But sometimes it's where friendships are built. Like it just happens that way sometimes. Um, but yeah, I thought this had a very oddly pure charm to it, and so not one of my favorites, but it's a cool track. I'm not mad at this one at all. Charles in Charge is the next song.
I know once I got like familiar with Charles's music and in my head, I was like, okay, so this guy samples everything. And this was obviously before I heard the song even
Mhm.
existed. In my head, I'm like, has he ever sampled the theme song for Charles in Charge? I'm like, I could easily see him doing that. And I feel like that'd just be right up his alley just because it's like, well, it has your name in it, you know what I mean? So and then we find out, hey, he already made that song. It already exists. Um, and once again, this is kind of like not as much storytelling, but he does tell a little bit of story in here. Um, Charles basically talked about how he had to grow up a little bit faster and sooner than other people, just because father wasn't around, so it's just him and mom, and then her having to do what she has to do, and then Charles wanting to still pursue music, but then it's like, all right, well, I gotta kind of be the man of the house now, and then Charles wanted to just make his mom, family, and friends proud with his music and future dreams. And you could hear the hopefulness in Charles was like, well, I got to grow up, but I'm in charge now. But at the same time, like I still want to make everyone proud, and I'm still young, so y'all got to give me some breathing room because I'm not perfect. Like I'm not in my 20s yet. I'm not even close to being in my 30s. So I'm going to make some mistakes, but just like you said, he's ready to take on the responsibility of being like an adult, a young adult in this situation. Has a wholesome feel to it, and I think it helps with the theme song that's being sampled. So I'm like, it's cool.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of this one. I like the Charles in Charge flip. I was like, you know what? I feel like you just got to do it at least once and get it out the way early. That makes the most sense, as a early rapper. That way, especially when you know that you're going to be sample a lot of things in your career. I just get it out the way. It's just too easy. I just I feel like the beat and the vocals just were clashing a little bit too much for me. I felt like everything else I could hear the vocals more clear. And I was using headphones at the time, so I was like, well, this it just feels too jumbled for me. Uh felt like everything was like stacking on top of each other and not in like the best way or whatever. Um so yeah, I wasn't the biggest fan of this one. But again, the Charles in Charge flip is always fun. I always like when somebody flips old Nick at Night classics from back in the day.
Nice. Yeah.
They followed that up with Teresa song version 2.0. Can I ask you the first question that I'm gonna ask?
Yeah, you can, but the answer's gonna be like, I don't know. But yeah, go
Okay,
ahead.
so I won't ask it. It's fine.
No,
Just
no, no,
move on.
you have to. So the people at home know what we're
Oh yeah,
talking.
sorry. I forgot about
Yeah, I
that.
mean,
Where
we
was the
don't.
first one?
Yeah. I'm assuming the first one might have been on a project that we just never got, you know what I mean? Or it could have just been a Lucy from back then.
Mm,
But I will say this for this song, this is one of my favorite beats from this tape.
okay.
I want to say it's the Wayne Wonder, I think, because I think the first time I heard that was the music video for No Letting Go. Because
Hmm.
like how the song before the song comes in, it's the saddest day in my and the girls is winding in the background. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, that's okay. So he got that from that. Okay. Um, but then it's just crazy because the beat's like upbeat, and then like he's talking about, same thing. Saddest day of his life, I guess, or at that point, maybe one of the saddest days. I don't want to say the saddest. I'm like one of
Yeah.
the saddest days, you know. Charles just reflects on some heartache in a previous relationship, and I said this is early signs of Charles dropping diss songs about his exes or whatever girl interests and whatnot.
Mm.
Um, I love the hook, just the I was sitting there stuck about da, 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 but now I don't give a fuck about it. And it's like you kind of do because you're making a song about it, but that's how it goes, you know. So um this is what I'll say because you mentioned about stuff being jumbled up and Charles in charge.
Mm.
I felt that more in this song on the third verse. So not the verses itself, but like he had some ad libs. I remember halfway through the third verse, he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm about to break it down now," and then the beat changes up, whatever, and the ad libs aren't syncing up to what I think the lyrics are supposed to be syncing up to. Like the ad libs are faster than the actual like verses, because like a
Mm.
lot of stuff, I'm like, you would hear him say something in the ad lib, and it's like, yeah, she broke my heart, and then like maybe 5 seconds later, you hear him in the verse, yeah, she broke my heart, and like I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
so was that like was that on purpose where he wanted it to be like off like that, or was that like whoever was mixing and mastering fucked that up and like dragged and dropped that in the wrong spot, and then they just for
Mm.
some reason didn't catch it and just like left it like that. So for me, I'm like, this is a little distracting a little bit, whatever. But song's still okay. Um, I did like the ending part with Dennis Leary, like a little comedic part that he had, whatever. So, but okay song overall.
Yeah, I didn't like this one either. I wasn't a fan of this one either.
Damn, you just don't
Yeah,
like shit.
it was just
God damn.
it was that back to back where I was just like, I don't know. It didn't. I feel like we were getting too many things stacked on top of each other. We got Rebecca's Edition, Friendship Bracelet, Charles and Charge, Frisk song, and it. Not to say that they all sounded the same, but they all had the same vibe to it, and it wasn't a lot of variety as far as like a change of pace, a change of, maybe topic or whatever. I think this is where something like on some G shit would break this up perfectly, or like a Pretty in Pink would break this up perfectly, just to kind of give me some, a break from like kind of certain different subjects and just topics overall, like back to back to back to back or whatever. Um, yeah, I don't think it's like a bad song. I don't know. I think the placement and just like being at the Charles and Charles, I just think it's not the best combination back to back for me.
I can see that. I'll speak more on that near when we do like the review part. But yeah, I can see where you're going with that.
Uh, Karen's song version 3.1.
Yes, another Karen song.
We actually know where this is from though, so we're good.
Yeah. Uh, Comparing to the one that we had on from the desk of that underwater sound, and I'm like, yeah, nah, I
Yeah.
couldn't. Um, so this is definitely a lot better with the mix. I like the beat. The beat's dope. Yeah, I think it has a good mix of a pop song being turned into a rap song, especially at that point. And then I heard like I want to say it was the drums that were in there. It just reminded me of Cassie's "I'm a Hustler." I don't know if that's Swiss
Mm.
Beats actual like drum kit sound,
Yeah.
but it's synonymous with me with that sound or whatever. So, um, for me, when I kept listening to this again, it reminded me of something that I would hear from like that gym class hero slash Travie McCoy type of
Mm.
feel. I'm like, I could see that having that type of vibe, whatever, where it's like, yeah, it's still rap, but at the same time, it has that pop feel to it that's, not necessarily rock either, but it's not fully hip hop, but it is rap at the end of the day.
Mhm.
Um Charles basically talks about how Karen left him for another guy, and how he felt about it, and it's like but then he ended up finding another love who ended up being Tiffany, which is crazy because talked about Teresa, Rebecca, Karen, Makita, but no Tiffany song technically. You know what I mean? It's kind of crazy. Tiffany didn't get her own song, but Tiffany did get a lot of mentions on the tape. Um, but yeah, I can see from this point where like right here, Teresa's song and then Karen's song, it's like, okay, now you got too many songs
Exactly.
like back to back. Yeah, and like with that, I'm like, I can see that being like, okay, because these songs, the subject matter is similar. They're a little
Hmm.
different, but Teresa was like, she just, they didn't work out, but then this is like, oh yeah, definitely. Karen broke up with me or she left me for some other dude, then I had to apologize because I was out there for some reason saying that I was her first and I really wasn't, or whatever the case was. And it's like, oh man. So, but I do like the song more than Teresa's.
Yeah, I like Karen's song, 3.1. I know Charles, when we talked about the front of desk of, I think I had a conversation with him on the phone. He was like, "Man, I hate Karen's song." I was like, "Yeah, I shouldn't have played that song." Like, bro, but then you like literally made us Karen song 3.0 or 3.1 the next tape. He was like, "Yeah, I know." I was like, but like when I heard this, I was coming in thinking this was gonna be kind of rough. But when I heard it, I was like, "Oh, this is miles better than the one we heard previously." Yeah, it's a good song. Again, more storytelling kind of element. Again, it's talking about someone else, but through the lens of himself. So like it's kind of again easier to kind of digest as far as like uh maybe just replacing him with yourself and you replacing whoever the girl is or whatever. Um, I like this record. I think it's pretty good. I know I saw some reviews and somebody was like, this gets an extra 10 points just for this song itself. So it's apparently a song that people like. So shout out to this one. I do like this song a lot.
And then I do have to remind everyone that kind of what you said, because we gotta go back to that, because he said, yeah, it's another Karen song. And she thought the other one she didn't like, I guess, but he said, well, just remember that one, I made that for me. It's like, here you go again. Well, yeah, you did. Yeah, I made a song. That's crazy because that's narcissism again. I made a song about you for me. It's about you, but it's for me though. I didn't really like it. It doesn't matter, but it's about me, but it's for me though.
Right.
So
Yeah. And don't feel too bad about Tiffany because then Tiffany is talked about a lot on the Pink Lava Lamp, or she's part of the Pink Lava, or is that Toya?
see,
But
and
then
that's
Jamaris is also a part of the thing too. Secretly, I found out recently.
and yeah, and then that doesn't help either because Tiffany is definitely part of every Charles Hampton ex-girlfriend's worst nightmare. She definitely has her name is in one of
Definitely
those
part of
songs.
that.
Yeah, she's part of that. So it's like it's crazy for the time capsule because you hear Charles like, oh yeah, Tiffany's my baby, she's my this and that. But then it's like, oh yeah, but when I was on the Tiffany, I was on the Jamaris, but I did this for me though. I didn't do this for y'all. I did, I didn't cheat on you for you. I cheated on you for me. He didn't say that. He didn't say that.
But when you say it like that, that's what it sounds like. That's all we're saying.
That's what it
Um,
is like. But
yeah. Um, See You Later, which I don't know if you felt like this. See You Later actually feels like the actual outro. Um, and this one feels very, again, kind of bar heavy. Kind of like on some G shit, but like on like an outro type vibe, and like there's really no hook. I want to say the sample does kind of some stuff here, but I feel like for the most part he's like rapped for like 2 to 3 minutes straight, and then he does like his little outro talk or whatever. It's cool. I get why you would end it like that, and like it's called "See You Later," so you kind of had to end it that way. Um, but then you made that mention about how so last summer should probably end it. And that's all I've been thinking about for like the last 20 minutes we've been talking. Like, yeah, that probably would have been great to end this tape. But as a song, it's okay.
I'll be honest. I would be okay with "See You Later" ending the tape. It's funny because he does say like, "Oh, we're about to close it out, y'all. Don't worry, we're coming to the end." Um, this song to me just has good vibes written all over it. It just has like a warm, peaceful feel to it. When I was going to run some errands earlier this morning, and then like I just had the song playing, and I was not even thinking about anything, but just driving, sun just beaming down and whatnot. I'm like, yeah, it's one of those you just think about, yeah, man, like life is pretty good right now. Like it gave me that feeling towards it. And then him just like going along with the sample saying, so are you guys in? Are like you already basically, hey, you guys have already been down. We're at near the second to last song. So are you still in? You know what I mean? Are you in? Like you might as well keep going. And then
Mhm.
he was giving his shout outs too near the end because he spit some bars, whatever, that were real nice. Then he kind of said, yo, thank you guys, because he shout out like people like Mars, I think Black and some other people like, hey, these are the people that helped me put this together. But for anyone else that like was trying to be a part of the process and I couldn't get y'all in, I apologize. But next go around, I got you, you know. But I definitely love this beat. One of my favorite beats for this tape. And one of my this might be like my second favorite song, second or third favorite song for this
Okay.
project.
We officially close out the tape with Rain Man 2.
All right, so I talked some shit earlier, and then I have to resend this, so I have to apologize. So feel free to add this in because it's like the first like 2 bars or something like that. You can add it right here where Charles says,
You find me offensive. I find you offensive for being real nosy and minding my business.
I swear to God, bro. I had to go back. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. I'm like, I gotta go back. I gotta go back. Minding my business. I'm like, damn. This is 2005. So for 20 years, Charles hasn't been minding his business. So that's my fault, Charles, because conversation me and him had on the phone where I kind of asked him about that. You know how Charles is. He likes to be cryptic. I'll say, yo, so did you take that from I think, did you take that from Two Fly, whatever? He's like, well, the way he's minding his business and the way I'm minding my business is two different. I'm like, did you take it from him, yes or no? He's like, no. I'm like, that's all you have to do, bro. Stop beating around the bush. Just say yes or no. I'm asking you a yes or no question. But this precedes that. So yeah, that Charles has been minding his business since 2005. So I apologize. So that's definitely him. But I think that's the first instance of Charles saying of him saying minding
Yeah.
my business.
Yeah.
Back to the song. I like the remix to this beat. If you ever heard the original Rain Man by Eminem, you know, beat's okay. I like the remix that he did better. And bars are nice, cook's cool. Just a fun song that Charles kind of pays homage to Eminem. He does a lot of homage paying, but this one I think he does like pretty much the most of it. So I'm like, it's cool. I wouldn't say it's a bad way to end the tape. It's cool, but the way that we're talking about like See You Later and Last Summer, I'm like, either of those two probably would have been better. But you know what? If Rain Man 2 probably would have like broken up the project somewhere in the middle, like you're saying with some of these other songs, maybe that would have just saved the project a little bit more versus just putting it at the end, which is not it's not a bad placement at the end, but like you said, there does need to be some breaking up, some better breaking up in the middle.
Yeah. Now that you say that, because I'm cool off the song. It don't need to be on this album. That's what I was originally gonna say. But when you said that maybe if it could be used to break up the tape a little bit in certain spots, I think that would have been a better use of the song. Um, I don't think it's one of my favorite songs. Because yeah, like I said, it's the Eminem homage thing. I was like, this feels like an Eminem homage with like a 50 Cent type of flow or 50 Cent type of like feel added to it as well. Um, yeah, this almost feels more like a Lucy than anything. Uh, but like I said, I do like the idea of maybe putting it to break up the tape a little bit. I think that would have been a better suited role for it on this tape. Um, Before we review this, like you had indicated, we've been getting requests for this tape a while. You know, I do not remember the account that asked this question, but I feel like we can now answer this question. Someone asked, do we think that sober karaoke and substance abuse are connected in any way? Are they related, or do we think that sober karaoke led into what will become substance abuse? After listening to this tape, how do you feel about that?
It could be a possibility. I think overall, when I listen to those two, no, I don't think that there's really that much connection. Maybe because of like the name, you can,
Mhm.
but there was another project, and I'm sorry for blanking on this, but he Charles mentioned it like near like I think the end of the project of this project, Sober Karaoke, where he's like, hey, there's from the desk of Sober Karaoke, and then there was another one like something. I can't remember. Someone will fill that in the blank. But it was like another name for a project where I'm like, I don't remember that project coming out at all. So that might have been like an early 2005, 2006 tape that Charles worked on that either I won't say it never came out, but maybe never seen the light of day, where it came out in that area, but then like maybe he's lost it or lost those projects since then. But I wouldn't say that. Like maybe you could say one led to the other, but I don't think there's like a direct like, yeah, like sober karaoke and then, substance abuse like right there. I don't think so.
From a content standpoint, they just don't have much similarity. If you wanted to, if he would be like, oh, this is part of a series, sure, but like I don't see the connection because like sober karaoke, substance abuse, I think we're just talking about drugs and that's essentially or the state of being sober, abuse, whatever. It's I don't know if there's a connection. I would love to hear that person's take on it. So if you see this, kind of give us your idea of what maybe you're thinking as far as that. I don't think there's too much of a connection to it. 'Cause I can't remember when Substance Abuse was made, but Substance Abuse was supposed to be the album, and I don't know how close they were connected. But if you listen to Sober Karaoke and you listen to Substance Abuse, there's clearly a lot of time in between where at Substance Abuse, he was who he was gonna be. And Sober Karaoke is such an early portion of that. I don't know if there's that quite that connection or whatever. It feels more like a distant cousin than an actual sibling.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that, where pretty much it's like, yeah, even if it was like a year and a half of like difference, like that's all Charles needed to like actually like change his style up and kind of mold more of himself into who he was versus, of course, when everyone starts, it's like, hey, these are my favorite artists, these are my favorite rappers, singers, and I'm going to be doing, my version of my music, which is really copying them because you have to start from somewhere, but like,
Yeah.
well, like I said, just yeah, I can't really see it, but I agree with you.
Yeah. But we just listened to Sober Karaoke in 2025, man. Let us know what you're gonna do as far as a review, pros and cons, and the character rating you are going to give it today, Mike.
So I will say I can't really compare sober karaoke and substance abuse, but I will compare from the desk of and sober karaoke. And from hearing, from the desk of and re-listening back. And I remember just saying, yeah, it's cool, one of his first projects or whatever. So, definitely gonna be rough around the edges when you go back 20 years and listen to it. But listening from that to this sober karaoke, I'm like, I don't know how much time was in between those two, but definitely I feel like you can hear the improvement, like a vast improvement between those two. Because for me, I'm like, I'm listening back to this and I'm like, yeah, like I feel more comfortable where I feel like I can relate a lot more to like these types of songs that are on here. Not all of them, but most of them. I'm like, I could still, play this and it doesn't feel super outdated. Or it feels like, oh well, Charles was like, you know, was he was like 18 or something like that at the time when he was making these songs. So oh now I'm twice his age, so it's like I can't relate to this at all. I can't listen to this at all. Doesn't even feel like that. I will say this, having to be nitpicky, because you could tell that Charles is taking this serious a lot more versus from the desk of. But there are some sound quality issues. But once again, this is 2005. You know what I mean? One of your first few projects, so there's going to be some of that in there. Um, he did mention Tiffany a lot. Like it's like a handful of songs where I'm like, that's a Tiffany mention. That's a Tiffany mention. Like he's mentioning her a lot. Part of me is just going to be like, hey, when you're first writing music, you're going to repeat yourself and like not really notice it. Other people will notice it before you will. And then, like you said, he paid a lot of homage to Eminem. And then I realized I'm like, and I'm realizing this because like I obviously being a big Eminem fan myself, and I'm like, okay. And a handful of these songs, he's like, um, I'll say it like from a Harlem standpoint, swagger jacking bars from M.
Mm-hmm.
Cameron said that about Jay-Z or whatever. But yeah, there's a lot of bars I heard. I'm like, okay, he took that from Eminem. Okay, he took that from Eminem. That's from Eminem. That's from, and then he mentions it about a lot about, oh yeah, y'all saying I sound like M, whatever. And it's like, yeah, you do, but at the same time, like some of it's like, yeah, because you're doing a lot of M bars or whatever. Um, but other than that, it's a good early tape. It's a really good early tape. Like I said, He did a lot better than From the Desk of, and still he has some improvement that he needs to make. And I think that he did that very well with later projects. So for this, I'm gonna give this a tails. I still think it's underrated because one of those things where it's an early project and it's still pretty good for what it was, and it's aged decently well. It's not like, oh, it's perfect. It's this and that. Like for example, like when we talk about Broken Pink Lava Lamp, that's aged a lot better versus this, where I'm like, it's still aged well. It's still aged well. It's not perfect, but it's still pretty good. So tails for me.
And it won't stop till I'm dead and in a hearse. I guarantee this album gonna be better than the first.
I said. Oh, and some of y'all don't even know what that reference is. See, y'all, man, do your research, man.
I'm like you. I want to kind of compare it to the From the Desk of, and it seemed like the goal of this tape was to improve upon his first album. And I can 100% say that he definitely improved on it. You can definitely hear the maturity in his, his rapping style, his verse, his flows, and different things like that. Even like some of the content, right? I think we said From the Desk of, it felt a little too high schoolish, right? Whereas this still has some juvenile stuff in there, right? But there was some more mature content in there to kind of be like, okay, he's gonna be more than just like a young rapper. He's really trying to get into like the deeper subjects and deeper topics or whatever. I think this is aged way better than From the Desk of. I think it's aged pretty well as what's called it. It's still kind of a time capsule with the way some of the beats sound. But that's just gonna happen just as we keep moving further and further away from certain time periods or whatever. Um, there's some good records on here. Pretty in Pink, so last summer on some G shit. Um, and then like there's some other records where cool to listen to. I think my biggest gripe would probably be, other than like just some of the beats sound a little bit dated, is just the sequencing. I would have switched some things around, kind of broken up certain subject pieces with like a song like Pretty in Pink, or um like on some G shit, or even like See You Later or whatever, just to kind of make it like have a better sequence and just a better listening experience or whatever. But other than that, this is something I think you should go back to. It's definitely something that doesn't get talked about a lot. So I'm also going tails here. I think when we think about earlier tapes, we don't necessarily think of sober karaoke. And I think we should probably talk about that more. And I'm glad we were able to do this episode. Finally got to it. So tails for sober karaoke.
Definitely. One thing you just reminded me of real quick. You said like, with From the Desk of, a lot of the high school ish feeling,
Mhm.
it reminds me of like with this sober karaoke. It's kind of like you were a senior in high school and then you become like a freshman in college, and
Yeah.
then like you kind of like disown everything that was like high school related. You like, oh
Yeah.
no, I'm grown now, I'm 18, I'm in college now. Like, oh,
Yeah.
don't ask me to do none of that. That's that high school shit I don't fuck with. It's
Yeah.
like, bro, you just like imagine your friend that like they were a junior, then they become a senior, so it's their last year, and it's like y'all still on that high school shit, bro. It's like, bro,
It's like,
you
bro,
were
you were here 3 months ago.
yeah, like, yo, chill out, bro. It's different if it's like if you're talking to like a freshman like that. It's like, dog, like we literally like you're 1 year older. Relax. But
Yeah.
it's still one of the things like everyone goes through it where you're like
Yeah.
you gotta feel grown, you gotta do your own thing or whatever. So it's like I get it.
Yeah. But let us know what you guys think about sober karaoke. You can go ahead and let us know what your favorite songs are. How you feel about how this compared to From the Desk of. Do you think it's better than the Pink Lava Lamp? Let us know over on StarCHaser Central, man. Let us know. You can also follow us on our individual. Oh no, sorry. You can also follow us on StarCHaser Central on Twitter, and follow us on our individual pages. I'm at Stick Around 54, SDIK Around 54 on Twitter and Instagram. Mike, where can they find you, buddy?
On Instagram, the Mike Jackson, Mike Jackson. On Twitter, I haven't said it in a while. Why not? Because I don't call it X. I
Mm-mm.
don't. Mike D Jackson. That's Mike D Jackson. 1 D, 2 E's. Holla at me. Um, Make sure that you guys are following Charles on Twitter at Charles Hamilton. Make sure you guys are subscribed to him to his YouTube channel. He's still going strong with the with the lives whenever he can. So make sure you guys are checking him out. You're subscribed at the talented Mr. Hamilton. Check him out. Last but not least, I know he did a couple of blogs recently, just talking about, just life, personal stuff, or whatever, what he's going through. Make sure you guys are staying in tune with the blog. Enter thehamilton.blogspot.com. There it is.
Yeah, man. Another great episode today. We are inching closer to episode 100. Really excited that we are going to reach that milestone. I feel like over the next couple of weeks, we're going to have some great episodes for you guys. And I hope everybody enjoys it and really savors the moment, man. Mike, you have anything for the people before we head out?
Just the usual. Thank you guys for checking out another episode. We appreciate you guys. All the requests, replies, everything like that. Like Six said, episode 100 coming up soon. We got some great surprises for y'all. And can't wait for y'all to see what's coming up next.
This is fun. We love doing this. We're gonna do this until we can't, man. But yeah, man. Thank everybody for everything, and just continue to watch us. We'll be back next week. We're logging out of the StarCHaser Central Podcast, man, where we always encourage you to follow your dreams
and reach
I done killed a
for the
lot of guys.
stars.
If you even dream of beating me, better wake up and apologize. Won't stop till I blow up. My name will ring bells from the Apollo to Russia, like Rocky Balboa on some G shit.